Simon here, welcome to my channel Such Plants. Today we're going to do a 1 month update on the Anthuriums that I got from my Ecuagenera import. But first what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a sneaky little unboxing. Earlier this week I got a Philodendron Majestic and I thought I'd include the unboxing of that plant in this video. So here you go. I was actually meant to be on a plant ban, but I saw this plant come up on Greywood Green's website and I just couldn't resist it. It's been like literally at the top of my wish list for kitty kids. Top of my wish list for basically the whole year. I've been dying to get this plant and I didn't want to miss the opportunity because they don't come up all that often. Okay, come up, goody. Because they don't come up that often, and if I didn't take this opportunity, I wasn't sure when next I would get a chance. I will admit that I have already had a sneak peek at this plant, but I haven't had a look at it outside of the plastic yet. I'm pretty excited. This plant's parents are two of my favorite Philodendron soderoi and Philodendron verrucosum. Oh, it's so pretty. And I love how it's got that mix between a velvet leaf and a shiny leaf. And also, while the plant is young at least, it has that beautiful soderoi silver streaking on the leaves. Oh, it's so pretty. And it's got a new leaf coming in. Oh, I'm so excited. I have been dying to get this plant for so long. I'm so happy with this. As the plant gets older, it'll lose that silvery mottling on the leaves, but I actually quite like the mature form. Some people don't like it. Some people try and keep it in its sort of juvenile state so that they can keep that silvery mottling to the leaves. But I actually quite like that it loses that and it gets massive dark green leaves that are that sort of mixture between shiny and matte, like almost like a satin feel. Really pretty. You can see the verrucosum coming through on the back of those leaves, that pinkness there. I'm so excited about this plant. Right, now that that's done, let's have a look at these plants. What I'm going to try and do is find some screenshots from the first video I did with the plants so that we can see if there's any developments or if there hasn't been, if the plants still look the same. Basically what I did with the Anthurium is that I planted most of them up into a soil mix. In fact, I think they're all in soil mix. Yes, they are. All of them came in with really great looking roots and I felt that they were ready for it. I did keep the Ecuagenera in a propagation chamber with really high humidity, but out of all the Anthurium, that's the only one that I really kept at high humidity. And the only one that I'm treating a little bit different is the Ecuagenera. And in that case, I'm keeping it in this room, which is inside the house and not in the greenhouse. All the other plants are in the greenhouse. I'm just worried that it's a little bit hot in there. It's full on summer temperatures right now. I think the temperature in the greenhouse when I came out here was about 32 degrees. And I know the Ecuagenera prefers slightly cooler temperatures. So that's why I have that in this room. It is a north-facing room. The sun does not come in here directly because it's overhead in the middle of summer. So it just gets really bright light, but you can see that one of the leaves is stretching towards the light. Right, let's start with the Palladiflorum. This plant has done incredibly well. This over here is the new leaf. Let's see if I can get in. It is doing really well. You can see there are two little dents on either side of the leaf, and that's because when this leaf came out, the right lobe and the left lobe were swapped over halfway down the leaf, so it had like that sort of indentation as it was rolled up. They kind of swapped over, and that's why it's got that little thing. So if it hadn't been for that, I think this leaf would have been absolutely perfect coming through. It is still very soft and growing, so I'm sure it's going to get much bigger than this, but I'm super happy with this plant. The root situation definitely is also really good. You can see over here, some really nice new roots growing, really white and fluffy looking. I have these in a mix that is super airy. It is mostly orchid bark and some peach pit bits and pieces, some leca in here, lots of perlite, and also I've put in a very small amount of some potting soil and some cocoa peat, but really just a tiny amount. You can barely even see it when you look into the pot. So this pot, I mean, all of the Anthurium are super airy, and I think that's been my problem with my Anthurium up until this stage. I've really struggled with Anthurium up until now because I think I've had them in a potting mix that is far too dense and far too moisture retentive. So these plants I'm keeping a little bit more similar to how you would keep an orchid, because that's how they grow. They grow epiphytically up in trees. So they seem to be doing really well in this mix, and I'm going to be converting all the Anthurium that I have that aren't in this mix already into this mix over the course of the next month probably. This is the Anthurium metallicum. This plant has also done really well. No sort of extra yellowing on the leaves. It's kept all the leaves that it had originally. It did lose, like I thought it would, that leaf coming in there. That leaf did fail, and it did abandon that leaf. I'm sure it's got something to do with the import and the repotting and all that stuff. But it is, and I can't tell you how I know this, inside this cataphyll there is a new cataphyll growing, because I would never recommend anybody manhandle plants to see what's going on inside folded leaves. This is the Queen Anthurium. This is the one that's been inside the propagation tank, so it's been in pretty much 100% humidity. It did come in with 2 yellowing leaves, which has have since come off, but all the remaining leaves look amazing. You can see some roots coming through over there with a little bit of an aerial root. I have tried to bury it, and I will maybe make more of an effort, but for now I'm happy with that just being an aerial root. It is in super high humidity. In fact, there's another root over here that's looking really good. Right over there where my finger is, there's a new root coming through that looks amazing, fluffy and healthy. We'll try and cover him up. But yeah, I think this plant is going to do really well, and I think the extra high humidity has really made quite a big difference. This, the Veitchii, has done also really well. Trying to think, it hasn't really lost any extra leaves. Is there some root growth? Nothing that I can really see, but what I can see in there is that new leaf coming through. And that leaf wouldn't be coming through if there wasn't some root growth happening inside this pot. So I'm really chuffed with this guy. I think he is going to do really well. I think Veitchii or King Anthurium are Anthuriums that generally tend to be fairly easy care. Velvet leaf Anthuriums tend to be a little bit more fussy when it comes to humidity. So this guy is probably going to be one of the easier care Anthuriums, but it is a beautiful plant. These leaves are going to get massive, and all that ribbing is going to get long, these long drawn out leaves with all that ribbing on them. Can't wait to see this guy mature up. He's looking really good. Happy. The last one is the Quaramalensi. This plant also has not shown any kind of deterioration. There are some roots happening around about this plant, but nothing major. They all look actually like they're probably the older roots. Nothing really new. That looks maybe a little bit new there. Slightly new roots coming through there. But nothing to particularly comment on here. The leaves both look still pretty good. I'm sure something new will start to come out of the sky now that it's getting a little warmer. Although it is in this cooler room, it still gets pretty hot in here. so up to probably about 25 degrees during the day. But all in all, I think these Anthurium have done really well. Ecuagenera are going to be coming out again, I think sometime early next year. And I think if I do order again from them, it will be probably Anthurium heavy, just because of how well these guys have shipped, and I've struggled a little bit more with the philodendron. They came in a little bit more banged up, but still doing pretty good, and I will do a video on their 1 month update probably next week. I thought it would be easier to just separate these guys into the Anthurium and the philodendron, so that the videos are a little bit easier to digest and take in. But all in all, that's the Anthurium doing really well. I'll probably do another update in another 2 months or so, and hopefully by then I'll be able to show you guys some nice new leaves on all of these plants. But I have to say that I think because these guys have got such much chunkier roots than the philodendron, they seem to ship a lot better, and they seem to settle in a lot better. So I can highly recommend that if you are going to be ordering some Anthurium from Ecuagenera, go ahead and do it. You should be absolutely fine. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend.